ninth installment of Tape Talk. I'm Steel Chambers. We're just going to hop right into it this week. We're going to head over to Nashville where we have some damn good ball this weekend. And we're going to review the Vanderbilt Commodores, my playoff Cinderella team, taking down the Missouri Tigers and rewriting their entire history, just completely changing their entire culture. So let's get to the tape. The game starts off really slow. There are only 6 total points in the first half. Both defenses were just playing outstanding, but then once the second half rolled around, Missouri tries to hit them hard and heavy early on. They get an interception right in Vanderbilt's territory, and then they get it down to a 4th and goal here, and they try to punch it in on Vanderbilt's 2-yard line. Now, Missouri's going to run a QB counter here, but they set it up a little differently than it usually goes. So they're going to orbit motion a receiver, and they're going to fake a toss to him, and then instead of a tight end, they're going to have the running back, along with a puller, lead up for the QB counter. Now, this simply just doesn't work. The Vanderbilt front 7 on this play just dominates the point of attack. They just strike these offensive linemen, shed off a little bit, and they just show no inch of budging at all in the interior part of this defense. And this is just a huge part of this victory for this Vanderbilt team. Missouri was continuously in the red zone over and over again, but then whenever you looked up at the scoreboard, they almost had no points to show for it. So this Vanderbilt team being able to have that bend, don't break mentality was just a huge part of this entire win. Now, I really wanted to highlight this play because at Ohio State, this is a situation that we would call a sudden change. And basically, that's just whenever shit hits the fan and your job is to go out there and stop the bleeding. So in this instance, you're the Vanderbilt defense. You're probably making some adjustments from halftime. And then all of a sudden, your offense turns the ball over. And you've got to go out there while it's in your own territory on like the 30 to 35-yard line. And you've got to do everything you can to defend this end zone and just stop the bleeding. Just hopefully get Missouri to not score a touchdown here. And that's exactly what they did. They rose to the occasion. And not only did they not let up a touchdown, they stopped them from scoring any points at all. Now, this was the stout Missouri defense. They were able to contain Diego Pavia in this run attack fairly well for most of the game. But then after chipping away for what seemed like forever, late in the third quarter, this Vanderbilt offense is able to break off an 80-yard touchdown and take the lead here. This is a quarterback GT counter. Let me just show you how it works. So you're going to have your guard and your tackle, your G and your T. They're going to be pulling to the boundary while the running back runs an outside zone or an outside bash action to the field, basically showing that they have the ability to either run to the boundary or run to the field. Now, like everything in this offense, this play runs through Diego Pavia. So he's going to have the read here. He's got to look at this defensive end, and if he runs upfield at the running back, he's going to keep it and run the quarterback counter. But then if he crashes down and follows those pullers' jet streams, he's going to hand it off to the running back. As you can see here, this D end, he comes down just enough for the QB to hand it off, and then you pair that along with a great crack block from the wide receiver on this outside linebacker. Then just a little more good blocking on the outside, and then the running back making some magic happen. Next thing you know, he's off to the races for 80 yards and the first touchdown the entire game. Now, this is right after a Missouri missed field goal, so this is where you start to see that momentum start to pile on in this sort of game, especially you got a home game in Nashville, college game day. You just saw the emotions sort of rise after this, and this really just carried Vanderbilt for this entire game. Missouri had to put in their young freshman QB into the game in the second half, but even after they made that change, this offense was showing life, showing ways to move the ball, whether that was in the air on occasion or definitely on the ground with Ahmad Hardy. But even though they were moving the ball, they just had no points to show for it. And then here late in the fourth quarter, they just have a costly turnover, and Vanderbilt is able to capitalize and get all the way down to the goal line and ultimately punch it in for a score. And not only do they do this, but they just eat up precious time on the clock that this Missouri team desperately needed. Now, in this Vanderbilt goal line touchdown, it looks like it's a fake handoff to the running back, but he's just going to turn into a lead blocker, and he's going to go out and kick the end man on the line of scrimmage for the defense. You pair that up with the O-line, the tight end doing their job. They're going to seal off the entire front of the defense. Now Pavia is left one-on-one with this off-ball backer in just a massive hole. And as you can tell, as you saw in this game, that's just too tall of a task for this backer. And Pavia is able to punch it in for the go-ahead touchdown. And of course, I have to show this last Hail Mary play, but I just really want to explain how you defend these as a defense. So, let's say you're a DB in this situation. You have one of two jobs. First, you're going to be boxing out. You're in the end zone, you're finding a receiver somewhere, and you're boxing him out. Your one job is to make sure that he does not catch the ball. Second job, you're a jumper. Your job is to go get the ball at its highest point and not catch it. Your job is to bat the ball down and just end the play. If you go up, try to catch it, next thing you know, it's a tip ball and it's a touchdown behind you and you look like a fool. So on this play, it looks like someone wasn't doing their job boxing out because somehow this ball makes its way through two defenders and this Missouri receiver actually catches the ball about 3 inches away from tying the game, scoring a touchdown and forcing overtime. And I mean, it's just a crazy situation, but it really just shows how much of a game of inches the game of football is, because after 60 entire minutes of playing ball, it really came down to just 3 or 4 inches that determined the entire outcome. To Missouri's credit, they still played a solid game all around. I mean, the defense played really well. The offense, a little stagnant at times, but even after the Perbula injury, this young QB comes in, shows his stones, makes some big-time throws, and then Ahmad Hardy, he was just a bell cow on the ground. But they just weren't able to find ways to score the ball in the red zone, and that just ultimately led to this heartbreaking loss. And I mean, it sucks, but at the end of the day, that's SEC football. Anything happens. And I'm excited to see how this Vanderbilt team pans out the rest of the year. I think they got a real chance of making the playoffs and making a run at the title. So that's what we got for week 9 of Tape Talk. Thank you very much.